Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something pretty special in the studio. This is a brand new guitar from a brand new manufacturer. So literally nobody has seen this before. You guys are going to be the first ones. And let me say, this thing is pretty cool. Yes, so here it is, you guys. This is the brand new guitar from Valiant, and this model is the Soothsayer. And it's got some really interesting appointments to it, so let's jump in and check this thing out. Now, as you guys know, on this channel, I love to feature guitar and gears that kind of fly under the radar. They're not household names yet, and they don't have the big marketing budgets of Fender and Gibson, Ibanez and PRS, but they're doing some pretty cool things. Well, such is the case with Valiant guitars. So, as I mentioned, this is the Valiant Soothsayer. Now, Valiant guitars do make a few different models, but this is going to be an in-depth look at the Soothsayer. This one is in a particularly stunning finish. It's a deep amethyst purple, not a finish you see on a lot of guitars, but man, such a cool finish. So what we're going to do is take a really close look at this guitar, find out what exactly it is we're dealing with, then we'll plug it in, and then we'll talk about the overall construction at the end. But let's jump in and find out what the Soothsayer is all about. Right, so let's start by highlighting some unique elements on this guitar. If you guys want all the nitty-gritty details, that'll be down in the video description below. Here we go. Number one, we've got a set of high-end locking tuning machines. These are Godot's. I've used them a bunch. Fantastic tuning machines, so love that. Now, on this section of the guitar, there's actually a lot going on, so let's dive in and take a look at some of the, interesting things here. Number one, the Valiant Guitars logo. Gotta make a comment on that. Absolutely love that. I think it looks fantastic in terms of logo design, and it just looks great on that first fret. Now, the second thing is this nut. It's made of solid brass, and the strings sit on adjustable screws. So you can adjust the height of each individual string right on the nut. So if you want to set it higher and play slide on this thing, you could do it. If you want to lower it and just shred, you can do it. So it's really interesting. I have a few comments on that. We'll talk about that in the overall construction at the end of the video, but I just wanted to show you guys that because it's so cool. So yeah, that's that portion. And on the back, you've got what they call the diamond volute. So a nice just sort of addition or thickening of the neck to strengthen it. So that's absolutely fantastic. Now, moving on to the neck itself, as you guys can see, we've got a 5-piece neck. So Valiant guitars will do a quarter sawn neck or a 5-piece neck. So you can kind of just order whichever one you prefer. Both styles come with titanium reinforcements. I've, again, used lots of guitars with that, and I almost never have to adjust the truss rod. The titanium just keeps things where you want it. So that's great. 5-piece neck, titanium reinforcement. Now, on the fingerboard here, I gotta say another thing that I absolutely love is what they call their Trinity markers. So again, just a unique element on this guitar that I think looks absolutely fantastic. Just makes it kind of stand out from the crowd. So those are the Trinity markers. Now, according to the official specs, the fingerboard is made out of roasted hornbeam. Never heard of that wood before, but it looks very similar in color to rosewood, not quite as dark as ebony. And I've got to say, another really unique element that I absolutely love on this guitar, check out the location of the spoke truss rod adjustment. They've countersunk it in between the 21st and 22nd frets. What a cool idea. I mean, you still get that traditional kind of shape here without having a notch or anything, or just having the spoke wheel exposed, and it just gives it a very, very custom look. Absolutely love that design element. Now, as for the body, it's an alder body with a maple top. Really cool, clear pickguard to show off the beautiful flame in the top. We've got a set of bare knuckle pickups here, CTS pots, high-end Godot trim unit. Check out the location of the output jack. Very cool there, kind of in that notched little section. So when you plug it in, it's really easy to bring your cable up and over your strap. So love to see that. Very, very cool. Metal cavity covers. We'll pull those off at the end and check out what's inside. Contoured heel joint there. Yeah, just some really, really cool elements. Even the knobs with the V for volume, T for tone look cool. So, I mean, some really interesting design elements on this guitar. All right, so let's plug this thing in and see what it sounds like. Now, position 5, 3, and 1 are your full humbuckers. Position 2 and 4 are your split coils. Now, I gotta say, this guitar has some of the nicest split sounds I've heard on a Super Strat type guitar ever. Like, these pickups split so well. You'll hear how quacky and just Strat-like position 2 and 4 sound like. So we'll mix and match some clean and dirty tones for you guys. But yeah, check out that position 2 and 4. Absolutely blew me away for a guitar of this style. Let's plug it in and take a listen. All right, you guys, it's time for the 1-minute solo. I'll be jamming over top of a backing track. Link to the track, as always, is in the video description below. Here we go. Time for the 1-minute solo. Next up, let's take a look inside the cavity covers. I've removed the screws and let's take a look and see what's inside. Now, I've got to say, these metal covers are some of the nicest I've ever seen on a guitar ever. They feel so good, probably other than Zamatis, which obviously has that beautiful, beautiful etching on theirs. But these are just incredible, like so solid, so thick. Just absolutely amazing covers. I gotta give props for that. No flimsy plastic on this baby. These are incredible. So here's a little quick look inside the cavity cover. That's the Godot trim, as you'd expect. Super high end. I like that they, even put a black finish coat inside. Some, manufacturers just leave it, bare wood. But that's nice to see that painted inside. And yeah, you can see some D'Addario strings there. Perfect. Let's look inside the cavity cover. Now, on the cover here, see if I can get that out. There we go. We've got logo and serial number on there. Fantastic. Again, just as thick. Some nice shielding on the back and stuff too. Really, really cool stuff. And CTS pots, I think they said in the specs. So there you guys go. You know, no cheap wiring on this guitar. High quality switch, high quality output jack, high quality pots, all shielded very, very nicely. So there you guys go. Man, even, yeah, these kind of details are looked after. So some pretty incredible stuff. And the routing for them and stuff is just perfect. You know, they fit just wonderfully into the routes. So yeah, from that aspect, another high quality area of this guitar. All right, so let's wrap things up with the overall construction and final thoughts. Now, in terms of the guitar in an overall sense, well, it's magnificent. Absolutely love it. Super high-end hardware, great construction. The pickups, got to give a shout out to bare knuckle. Those impulse pickups are fantastic. I hadn't played them before. They split really well. The neck can get just really warm, beautiful jazz tones. The bridge cuts like crazy. So really, really nice pickups. Love that. So every area on this guitar uses high-end parts and is built really well. Now there's two areas I'd like to see Valiant clean up kind of moving forward as they, you know, build their brand and all that stuff. The fret ends weren't quite up to snuff for a guitar in this price range. I'd like to see them polished up a little better. Now that doesn't impact playability at all, but there's certain things I expect in certain price tiers of guitars, and impeccable fretwork is one of them on a guitar like this. So, you know, up high here, you could see it got noticeably worse. You can see a lot of filing marks and tooling marks on the fret ends. I'd like to see that all polished up. And in other guitars in this price range, you don't see that. So that's one area where they definitely could spend a little extra time just kind of making it feel and look premium. The second thing is the binding. Now on a guitar like this, it's very, very common for, you know, builders to tape off the binding, spray the color, pull off the tape, exposing, you know, the wood, and then putting on your clear coat. So that's a very common way to get, you know, some of that really beautiful binding. Unfortunately on this one, whoever put the tape on didn't do a real great job. It needed to be pressed on much, you know, firmer. So there's some purple bleed that goes onto kind of like the clear, I guess, maple of the top. So you don't like to see that. You want to see just a perfect line on a guitar, again, in this price range. So those are the two areas. Both of them are aesthetic, so I think both areas could be cleaned up easily. But overall, just a stunning guitar. So fun to play. Sounds great. It's a great experience. Now, as for the nut, earlier in the video I said I would address the nut. And this nut took forever to break in, I gotta say, because it's metal. And of course your strings are metal winds. So when you get that metal on metal, it just took, like, it would ping and hold up like a lot. So it took like probably a good 3 weeks before I could like just bomb perfectly and not hear any pinging and just like have it like a normal trem. And as you guys heard in the solo, it's perfect now. But I just thought I'd mention that if you order a guitar, they have traditional nuts, I should say, as well. So if you want a traditional nut, which is probably the way I would go, then no worries. But if you want this one, the height adjustable nut, it's pretty cool, but be prepared to break it in. It's gonna take a long time. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's a cool design and it will work for you, but just, you know, like I said, it took me 3 weeks of just playing this guitar all the time to really break it in so that there's no hanging up on the metal, because it is like metal on metal, right? So my recommendation would be to just go with a traditional nut, but if you like this design, it's, as I mentioned, it can work perfectly, but break it in. So here are my final thoughts on the Valiant Guitar Soothsayer. Well, number one, it's always exciting to have a new maker enter the field. And this Soothsayer is, like I said, a magnificent guitar. Sounds amazing, built well, you know, can't talk about the metal cavity covers enough. Sounds fantastic with those bare knuckle pickups. So, I mean, there's not a lot to hate on this guitar other than, you know, the two things I mentioned that they can just kind of clean up in terms of like the aesthetic details. But the core of this instrument is just phenomenal. So there you guys go. That's kind of like an in-depth look at the Soothsayer. Man, this thing's pretty. So there you guys go. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, be sure to do so. I will link to this guitar in the video description below. You can find out all the information on it down there. All my information in terms of gear I use, all that stuff is in the video description below as well. Other than that, hope you enjoyed the demo. Have a great day.